in your career, were there other moments where kind of trusting your gut and leaving a situation played out for you?
All the time, like you just mentioned, leaving, maybe on the surface or to other people, great paying jobs that, why would you leave, that kind of feeling, and not having something lined up, before you recognize it's time to go, I think that's a real bold move. There's a lot of people who just suffer through awful job situations, maybe because they have to, maybe because they live in a town and this is it. There's five places to work and that's all. Or they've got more than themselves to think about. And so it's like, yeah, I don't have the luxury of just quitting because I need to quit. I got children or people who are dependent on me. Like, I recognize there's all kinds of circumstances that keep people in a rotten situation. But I think for me, it's the same. I've often left roles or studios or, companies, whatever, and didn't have a perfect thing lined up. But I knew it was time, and I had, played my cards right and had a little bit of cushion or something that made it okay for me to go. And then I figured it out, but I knew that I couldn't figure it out while working at this place that made me unhappy or, was taking up all of my time or my mind. And so part of finding the new thing was quitting the place that you're at to just free up capacity to think differently about what was next, or to have the time to meet with people and have those sort of conversations that always lead into something interesting. And so for me, I probably left more jobs without a job lined up than leaving a place to go to somewhere, and I don't know if I'm proud of that, or that's just the way it is. But, there was a time when I was working at a bank, and this is no knock on the bank. Like, I think it was a fine place to work. I went to multiple celebrations where people were being recognized for like the half century club. Like, they had worked at a place for 50 years, like, it's wild to me. Right. So this is not a place that people clearly didn't like working. Right.
Right.
But for me, it just felt incongruent with who I am, who I was at the time. And maybe it was like the most corporate thing I had done, or the biggest enterprise I had been a part of. It's a bank. So it's a financial institution that is known, has a reputation for being very conservative and prudent. So there was probably a lot of environmental factors, cultural factors to that workplace that felt really uncomfortable for me at times. And even though it was a really cool job and I was working with really cool people, we're doing some innovative things inside of this institution, there was enough there that made me feel out of place, that it just kind of was affecting how I showed up at work. And I found myself in ways code switching and just kind of behaving to fit in or to assimilate. And it was this is now in the sort of the second act of my career, when you would hope, or you would think, like, you would be the most confident and comfortable in who you are. And I kind of caught myself. I'm like, why am I behaving like this? Why am I changing the way I'm talking in this meeting, or wearing certain clothes that, like, it fits the part? It's a bank. People wear shirt and ties. But, like, I just feel, and it's not like I can't dress up. Like, I can
You
dress
have been
up
known
just
to wear a
fine.
suit before, yeah.
But it was just I think it was just like a combination of all these things. And I just thought, like, man, I just don't feel like myself. I don't feel like I can be authentic here. And again, like, nobody pulled me aside and was like, hey, I think you need to change the way you're dressing, or, don't do that anymore in the meeting and instead behave this way. I think it was a super internalized stuff for me.
Yeah.
But long story short, I just kind of got to a point where I was like, it feels really bad to be this self-conscious this late in my career about how I conduct myself in the workplace. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. And there were some other things, I didn't feel great about, but it was enough that it got me to a point where I was like, you know what, I gotta go.